Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into the epic 12th Winter 2023-24 update from GavsWeatherVids. So here we go again, time to bring you more winter data. We're now up to update number 12 out of 13. Can you believe it, everyone? This is the penultimate winter update. Once this one is done and dusted, we've only got one more to do next week, along with one more seasonal roundup next weekend. And that's it. We will be at the end of our updates then, and all we'll be able to do is release the winter forecast on the 3rd of December. So to say we are at the business end of our winter updates is an understatement, but we have still got plenty more data to get through during this update and through next week's as well. So if you enjoy the content on the channel at the moment, please like, share, subscribe, show everybody to do that. I should get on with your 12th winter update for you in a moment. Just say that first video to see was our 6 AM UK weather forecast. We have also got coming up our live stream at 6 PM. We'll be live streaming at 6 PM where we will be discussing this 12th winter update. So that's going to be epic. If you've got any questions about this 12th update, and with so much data to show, I'm sure you will have questions. So hold fire on those, and we'll do our best to answer those for you on our live at 6 PM. We'll also be doing a 10 to 14 day live, and we'll have long range from CFS and from Beijing Climate Centre as well. Then straight after at 7 PM, we will have the 7th update for Christmas, 7th installment of Christmas Countdown. So an epic Sunday of content at GavsWeatherVids yet again. Please like, share, subscribe, as I say, on all of the vids and content. Thank you so much to everybody for doing that. Thank you to Richard, amazing Richard Trott for our amazing GavsWeatherVids winter updates gift. Thank you so much, my friend. I love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Richard. It's been amazing. You'll get to see this again next weekend, and then that will be it, because we had a special gift for the forecast itself. Thank you so much, Mo. It's been absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much, Rich, for our lovely gift. Thank you so much for King of Swing. More about that in a moment. And thanks you so much to Shrine Bruin as well for all the help on the video. Thanks so to Richard and to Shrine for their help on this 12th winter update and through the whole season of winter updates. Hashtag Team Gav has been amazing as always. Right, okay. Let's do this then. Let's begin our 12th update. So the first thing we're going to look at, of course, is the swingometer. So this is how the swingo is now looking after last week's 11th update. So basically after 11 updates, 2 seasonal roundups, and the winter 2023-24 NEA forecast back in the summer. This is how we're looking after everything. Let's have a look. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Atmosphere response changes in the last 3 updates. Now it's 54% towards a mild winter. Wow. So we're still favouring a mild and average winter with our winter updates via the swingometer. However, we have now seen another 3% swing from mild to cold. And so last week we were standing at 57% towards a mild winter. Now we are standing at 54% towards a mild winter. Could we get this to 50-50 by the end of these updates? Won't that be remarkable? If we could get this to 50-50 by the very end of winter updates, that would be absolutely incredible. I don't know if we'll be able to do that, but when you think how much in favour of the mild winter we was through the first half of these updates, we have seen a very significant swing from mild to cold in the second half of the updates, and particularly in the last 3. So thank you so much to our King of Swing. Thank you so much, Richard, for the swingometer. And how exciting is that? Yet another swing from mild to cold, and now it is 54% to what's that? 47%, I think, towards a mild and average winter. Significant swing taking place again from last week, and we wait to see what, if any, effect this 12th winter update will have on the swingometer. You will find out at the beginning of next week's 13th and final update how the swingo is looking. And there will, of course, be a final swingo that we will be releasing at the beginning of the GavsWeatherVids Winter 2023-24 forecast on the 3rd of December. So you will find out then how the swingo looks in terms of every update that we have done through this season, and then of course you'll find out whether the forecast is agreeing with the swingo. But exciting times. Thank you so much, Richard. Thank you so much to our amazing Richard Trott, the king of swing. Woo! Okay, exciting, isn't it? Right, let's begin then. So I'm going to start off by having a look at the hurricane season, actually, this 12th update. So we're on the 2023 Atlantic hurricane season page at Wikipedia, and these, ladies and gentlemen, are the scores on the doors. Miss Ford, ooh, for the hurricane season of 2023. So far, and I don't think it's going to change now. So far, we have had a total of 21 tropical depressions. We have had a total of 20 tropical storms, lots of tropical storms, 7 hurricanes, that's quite a high number as well, and 3 major category 3 or above hurricanes. That's a little bit on the lower side. And if that had been like one more up, then I think would have been a high practice season. As it is, we've had a above average hurricane season for ACE. Ace Master Shryan has updated our ACE page for us. Accumulated cyclone energy, of course, is measuring all of the energy these storms, both individually and in a cumulative season, are giving out. The classification is below normal, near normal, above average, hyperactive. We go back to 1850s with this, but we're going to come down to the recent year, 2023. Hold on, excuse me. Back again. No, we're going to come down to 2023. There it is, just there. We see that our ACE number is at 145.60. That is up to the 18th of November. That is unchanged from last week. All of the numbers are unchanged from last week as well. That's after 20 tropical storms, 7 hurricanes and 3 majors. The running average for this time of the year should be 14 storms, 7 hurricanes and 3 majors. So we're actually sort of average for running average, but we are above the tropical storms, and the ACE at this point of the year would expect to be at 120.00. So yeah, you know, we've had an above average season. We see the classification just there, above average, not however hyperactive. If we were to get one final hurricane, particularly if it was a major, then that would probably get us to hyperactive. But we're going to assume that this is going to stay at above average. And so our first set, I think it's to be ACE Master Shrine for, I keep the ACE updated. Our first set of analogues for this 12th Winter 2023-24 update is going to be looking at winters following above average hurricane seasons. Very, very simple. And the first one we're starting with is 1951-1952. So the hurricane season of 1951 was indeed an above average hurricane season. The winter that 51-52 looks like this, with below average heights through the North Atlantic into Europe, above average heights pulled out to the Atlantic, jet stream and wind flow doing something like that. So it's an alternating winter, but there are some cold snaps during the winter of 52-53. Our next winter, following an above average hurricane season, is 1966-1967. This is one of the milder 1990s winters, actually. I mean, most of them do have cold spells. This one is included, does have cold snaps as well, but it is at the milder end of the range, really, 66-67. Quite an unsettled winter too. Long gap then through to 2000. So the next, of course, we go through the cold AMO period, of course, through the 70s, 80s and early 90s, which dampens down a lot of the hurricane activity. So most of the seasons through the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 90s, I mean, with a few exceptions, are either average or below average, actually, during the cold AMO. But 1995 is when the warm AMO phase starts again. And so our next above average season, remember, we're not looking at high practice seasons, though, with this, because we're not going quite that far up the scale, we don't think. So our next above average hurricane season is 2000, and the winter of 2000-2001 looks like that. So yes, there is a blocking signal for this winter, and below average heights low pressure to the south, winds are in from an easterly direction as well. So it's a near miss winter in the south, although there are cold snaps that come and go during this winter. And for the era, for like late 90s, early 2000s, it is, even in the south, actually quite a coldish winter. But the real cold is up in the north, and Scotland does have a really quite a cold and snowy winter during the winter of 2000 and 2001. Our next above average hurricane season is 2008, the winter of 0809. Again, with blocking sitting to the north, below average heights, low pressure, south winds again in from the eastern direction. This is the start of the run of cold winters, of course, from 0809 to 1213. So this one, it's not as cold as the subsequent ones are going to be, but it does have plenty of cold weather in it. Of course, the coldest part of winter during the first half of February, where we bring bitterly cold east winds and plenty of snow as well. So very cold and snow in the first half of February, offset by the second half, though, which does turn really quite mild. Then we've got winter 2011-2012. So this is our winter up. I say that we have a run of cold winters from 0809, 1213, which we do. But we do, within that, we do get one winter off, which is the winter 2011-2012. That winter, the cold is in the east of Europe, particularly through the Balkans, where it's often severely cold. High pressure out in the Atlantic, keeping us on the periphery of the cold weather. We do get one very cold spell, though, in early February of 2012. We've got 2012-2013 showing up next, again, following above average hurricane season. This will, of course, get colder and colder as it goes along, as high pressure to the north and low pressure to our east winds, to our south and east winds again coming in from the east. Relatively mild start to the winter. Big SSW in around the new year in early January, and then we're off and running, we're off to the races, and the rest of winter just gets colder and colder and colder and colder, culminating in a severely cold March, the coldest March since about 1883 for the CT in 2013. Extraordinary. We got the winter of 2016-17 showing up next. This is one to forget if you're a cold weather lover, with high pressure sitting over top of the country. So it's just anticyclonic, very dry, very quiet, not much going on. And this is 2018-2019, again with above average heights extending up the western side of Europe. So that's another pretty anticyclonic winter. Does have a bit of a cold spell in January, but also has a very, very mild, if not warm spell in late February of 2019. Then we've got 2019-2020, our next above average hurricane season, with lots of low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south. This is the PB of doom winter. It winds in from the west and from the southwest. And then we've got 2021-2022. This was our last above average hurricane season, with high pressure to our west and south, low pressure to the north. Quite a cold winter for northern and northeastern Europe, but we're kept generally quite mild with winds in from the west. Although early December 2022 was quite chilly, but it all fell apart at Christmas, and I should say early December 2021 was quite chilly. They all fell apart at Christmas, and the rest of the winter was very mild. So putting all that together, this is how all Decembers combined are looking, following above average hurricane seasons, with low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south. It's a westerly signal, relatively mild for those Decembers. All Januaries combined, a little bit more interesting from a colder perspective. Above average heights just out to our west, change the colour to red, because we've got plenty of low pressure to our east. Also, most of the colds in the eastern side of Europe with that, but we could tap into some of it at times if that high pressure gets far enough west. And then all February's combined, looking like this, with above average height sitting over coast. So again, quite an anticyclonic signal for those Februaries, and not especially cold. All winters combined. Whoops, I haven't closed in on the all winters combined. Silly Gav. Never mind. There we go. So all winters combined for above average hurricane seasons. Bit of an anticyclonic signal. The high pressure set just to our west. Low pressure looks like it's centred more towards the east and southeastern part of Europe. So that's where it looks like a lot of the time the real cold is. We could tap into that at time, but there isn't a particularly good blocking signal. So overall, not favouring a particularly cold winter there following those above average hurricane seasons. It's quite a different story if it's hyperactive, by the way. But again, we don't think we're going to be hyperactive. I would just point out, though, that within the solar cycle, I would say that 2000, 2001 and 2012, 2013 are probably the two best matches within the solar cycle, which I think is something that we have to factor in. And remember, when we do winter forecast, we bring all of this together, and some things will be weighted a little bit higher compared to other things as well. Anyway, that's our first set. Analogues is talking. Thank you to Ryan, the Ace Master, for sorting those out. We're going to go straight on to sea surface temperature anomaly data, ocean data next. So this is how the oceans were looking when we did last week's epic. It was epic. It's an hour-long video that we did last week, the 11th winter 2023-24 update. 4 areas of interest. ENSO region up here. We've got the Northern Pacific over there. We've got the Indian Ocean over here. And then we've got the North Atlantic over there. That is how the oceans were looking when we did last week's 11th update. This is the latest. Now, dealing with the ENSO region first of all, we've seen a further strengthening of the El Nino signature through the central region of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Again, if we go back to last week, you can see the warmth, again, particularly focused over towards the eastern side, really, but also extending out into central regions. But over the past week, we have seen definite warming through the central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. At the same time, it might be starting to cool a little bit over here towards the eastern portion. And the El Nino signature also extends out into the western region of the ENSO region of the equatorial Pacific Ocean as well. Now, all regions of the ENSO region are displaying an El Nino signature, telling us that we are in a proper El Nino. Right, let's go further north into the northern Pacific. This is the area that we're looking at now. That situation again last week. This situation this week. The cold PDO signature is strengthening, I think, particularly here to the south and to the east of Hawaii. So we're seeing cold average sea surface temperature is strengthening there. That's cold PDO signature. Up here, not as much going on, but I think a little bit of extra cooling has taken place there as well compared to last week. So it does look as though that cold PDO signature we had at the start of these updates, then it faded out quite a lot, but it looks like that's strengthening, coming back actually. So this is very interesting with a cold PDO. You know, if we have a cold PDO through winter along with El Nino, that is quite an interesting and relatively unusual scenario. Okay, let's go into the Indian Ocean then. So this is how the Indian Ocean was looking last week. Of course, got the positive IOD signature. Let's split the Indian Ocean in half. Warm through here, cool through there. That's the positive signature for the IOD. Very latest looks like that. Not much change. Perhaps got a bit warmer through here over towards Asia and Africa and whatnot, but on this side, on the Indonesian side, a bit of a cool, it's still there of course, but I think that cool area has perhaps faded out just a little bit. Has that perhaps weakened just a little bit over the past week? So still very much a positive IOD signature, but perhaps just weakened slightly in terms of the contrasting temperatures over the past week. In the North Atlantic, again, let's go back and then we'll go forward. So this is how things looking last week in the North Atlantic. This is how things look this week. Not much change there. So we have something of a negative NAO signature, but not a classic negative NAO signature. So, or a tripole, I should say. So, it's very warm again, still through the tropic and subtropical part of the Atlantic Ocean into the Caribbean, etc., etc. It's pretty warm here to the south of Greenland as well. It does look a little bit cooler through there. So that is a very, very weak tripole, probably. But as I explained last week, we want to see, to get a classic sort of tripole signature, we want to see this area going quite a lot cooler. If that area starts going quite a lot cooler, then we're there. We start seeing, you know, a nice area of blue showing up there from Newfoundland down the eastern seaboard, then we'll be pretty much there with these warmer sea surface temperatures there, and warmer through there. So again, we'll just go wait and see how that evolves as we go through the winter. We're close to a tripole. Probably you would say it is something of a tripole already, but it's not a classic tripole signature. We have got to go further for it to be a classic tripole. This is how the 7-day change is looking. So in the ENSO region, again, confirming that warmth has taken place over the past 7 days through most areas, particularly through the central and western regions. A little bit of cooling here towards the eastern region. Could we be starting to shift into Modoki El Nino phase? Remember, Modoki El Nino is where it will be warmer through here and cooler through there. Central base El Nino. In the northern Pacific, we see that the cold PDO signature has strengthened over the past week. Cooling of the sea surface temperatures have taken place over the past week. In the Indian Ocean, most areas have warmed, actually, so still warming over here, but the difference is on the Indonesian side of the Indian Ocean, things are actually warming there as well. And then in the North Atlantic, we see that cooling has taken place in the area that we want it to. We want to get a tripole. We want to see this area cooling while this area remains quite warm, you know, through here, and down into there. So, all of them quite interesting from an ocean perspective all of a sudden. The cold PDO signature is fighting back, and the tripole might be trying to emerge in the Atlantic as well. Let's carry on with the SOI. So the Southern Oscillation Index is looking like this now. Remember, the SOI is measuring air pressure between Tahiti and Darwin, and then coming up with an overall SOI number just here. When the SOI is negative, then the atmospheric setup will be reflecting El Nino. When the SOI is positive, the atmospheric setup will be reflecting La Nina. You see, in fact, strong negativity of the SOI over recent days, particularly on the 30th of November, when it went down to minus 32.77. That's exceptionally negative. And so the atmospheric state there would have been really strongly reflective of El Nino. For the latest day, the 18th of November, we're at plus 305, so we're actually slightly reflective of La Nina, but of course you will get day-to-day fluctuations. Overall, the SY is in a negative or a very negative phase. We see this from both our 30 and 90-day average. So the 30-day average is the red line, that's down here somewhere around minus 10, and the 90-day average, which moves around much less, of course, that's down at around minus 11. And so the atmospheric state is very much in an El Nino type setup, along with the ocean. El Nino continues. CFSB2 forecast El Nino to continue through the remainder of the year and through winter 2023-24 as well. So temperatures on the side, dates in monthly periods on the bottom. We're currently here, so we're currently between 1.5 and 2 degrees above average, which is moderate to strong El Nino threshold, not Super Nino. Remember a few months ago, CFSB2 has forecast that we will be up there somewhere having a Super Nino. We're not going to have a Super Nino, but it is going to be a moderate to borderline strong event. CFS is not predicting that this El Nino gets much stronger than where it is right now, so we hover again somewhere around between 1.5 and 2 degrees above average to the end of the year, and then we see a gradual come down as we revert closer to ENSO neutral through the opening months of the year, and then potentially we go off and running into La Nina by the summer of 2024. But of course, that's a long way off and is very, very speculative. Also, CFS is still predicting a Madoki, a central base El Nino. So this is region 3.4. That's the central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. This is regions 1 and 2. The current position there, we're in the eastern portion of the equatorial Pacific Ocean, but we're just around or a little bit above 2 degrees above average. CFS is predicting that by January into February, we're down here between around ½ degree and 1 degree above average. That will be cooler than in the central region, so we call that a Madoki central base El Nino, but only weakly so. It's not a great difference between like the eastern portion and the central region. I got this up. This is from the archive. So this is from 09. This is from December 2009 for 0910. This is what a proper Madoki central based El Nino looks like, everybody. So this is the last time we have what I would classify as a proper Madoki central base, and this is for region 1 and 2, again in the eastern portion. So around here in November and into December. So on the temperature scale, that's around ½ degree, like average to ½ degree above average, something like that. Actually, the CFS is forecasting that things will go up to around 1 degree above average through the spring, but that didn't happen. We went into landing it actually through the spring and summer of 2010. But bear with me. So the point is that you know, the temperature anomaly, sea surface temperature anomaly, was only about average, ever so slightly above in the eastern portion of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. But check out region 3.4. There, we was like where we are right now, actually, around ½ degree to 1.5 degrees to 2 degrees, I should say, above average through you know, through the final couple of months of the year. And so that's a much bigger temperature deviation, of course, much bigger temperature deviation between the central region there, again between 1.5 and 2 degrees above average, and the eastern portion, which was no more than slightly above average. And so that is what I would classify as a strong Madoki central base El Nino for the winter of 0910, whereas this time it's much more marginal. It's a much more marginal Madoki El Nino. Interestingly, at this point in the autumn of 2009, the CFS model did pick out the deluge for November 2009. This is 700 millibar high tonic forecast, by the way. So CFS was picking out the deluge for November 2009. Did also pick out northern blocking in December of 2009, and it still had that, some degree anyway, into January 2010, quite interestingly, placing those red colours there around Greenland, and also over here towards Svalbard, towards some degree. So it had kind of picked up the blocking signal that we had during that Madoki El Nino winter of 0910, although perhaps we hadn't got the extent of it quite right, but it had picked out. By the time we see February, there wasn't much of a signal. Last thing I want to leave with the ocean data. We'll have a little break and we'll come back after that. So, you know, just pause the video temporarily. Last thing I want to leave you with is this. IOD in October did reach very strong levels. I don't think we covered this back in October. This is from Weather Zone, but we did see the positive phase of the IOD getting to a very strong level actually in October, almost as high as it was at the end of 2019 before the PV of Doom Winter 2019-2020. I think November will probably drop that a little bit. So I think October will probably turn out to be the peak of this positive IOD phase. I've got a feeling November will drop it a little bit, but we'll still be very strongly positive. And you know, we'll probably start seeing this reverting back closer to neutral by the time we get through to summer next year into the spring and summer, but there's a time lag on that anyway. So I think we've got to assume that with the atmospheric time lag, response time lag, that the atmospheric setup will be, you know, in a positive IOD setup for this winter, even if by the end of winter we are seeing quite a significant drop in that positive IOD phase. Right, okay, we'll pause the video there. We'll talk for nearly half an hour. Been epic so far. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have, then please do like, share, and subscribe, and all of that good stuff. And when we return after our little break, go and stretch your legs, digest what you just witnessed. Maybe unique content from GavsWeatherVids yet again. But when we come back, we're going to look at solar activity. So I shall see you in 2 seconds' time. But see you in a moment. Okay, we're back and we're ready to resume the epic 12th and penultimate Winter 2023-24 update from GavsWeatherVids. If you enjoyed what you've seen so far, please do like, share, subscribe, and show everybody who do that. Tell your friends and family about GavsWeatherVids as well. Get them to subscribe too. Tell them about the unique content that we are releasing here week after week after week for our winter updates. And thank you so much everybody for doing that. Thank you so much to Richard for our amazing winter updates gift. And we're now going to look at solar activity for section 2, or the start section 2 of this 12th winter update. So this is how this is looking on our side of this day from solarham.net. Just 2 sunspot regions, one just here and one over there. However, despite that, solar activity was actually at moderate levels because one of those spots was producing a lot of energy. But in terms of sunspot numbers, pretty low, and the forecast actually solar activity to be at low levels for the next 3 days. This is the GavsWeatherVids 12th Winter 2023-24 Update Solar Activity Tracker sent through by Shrine. Thank you so much to Shrine Brian sending this through. So the orange line and orange spots depicting each individual day's worth of sunspot numbers. You can see that we have really reduced things a lot from what looks like the first peak of solar cycle 25, which happened back in the summer, just there. It looks like summer of 2023 had the first peak of this solar cycle, increasingly like that was like the first peak of this solar cycle. Now, since then, activity has been trending downwards. The current scenario, in terms of the orange spots just here, so yes, you know, we see a significantly lower number of daily sunspot numbers compared to where it was back in the summer. That means that the thick green and thick blue lines, which are trend lines, are trending down. So the thick green line is the 30-day average, thick blue line is a 60-day average. That one moving around much less, but also trending downwards there. So we are definitely at the moment going through a slightly quieter phase of solar activity compared to where we was back in the summer. It'd be interesting how long that's sustained for. Also be interested to see if we was to get like a day without any sunspots. So this has been sent through from Richard, spotless days and current spotless stretch. At the moment, the current spotless stretch is 0 days because we have got 2 sunspots going today, or 2 sunspot regions today. But we're not that far away actually from getting like a spotless day. So wouldn't that be interesting if we was to get a spotless day? Then we would be doing something different to what we did at the comparable point in solar cycle 24, which of course is 2012. That's our comparable year at the moment. That year, throughout the year, had 0 days without sunspots. And so if we was to get a day but didn't have any sunspots in the next week or so, then we would be doing something different for solar cycle 25 compared to solar cycle 24. It is a weak solar cycle, this solar cycle, as we've already established. It's at the stronger end of the range, though. We've established that, you know, in earlier updates, that whilst this is a weak solar cycle, it's a little bit more active than solar cycle 24 was, or has been up to this point. But of course, we've got a long way of solar cycle 24 to go. So we'll keep a close eye on solar data. Thank you so much to Shryan, and thank you so much to Richard for sending through the solar data there. And we'll keep an eye on that, of course, when we do next week's 13th update. QBO, again, just confirming that we are into the EC phase of the quasi-Siberian oscillation. You see green-blue area again, descending from the stratosphere down to the troposphere. That's the stratosphere at about 10 HPA, this troposphere 30 to 50 HPA. So again, we confirm that the EC-QBO continues, and the winter 2023-24 will be an easterly QBO winter. We have explained in, I think it was update number 10, what that could mean. Arctic oscillation observed and forecast. It's looking like this. Black line shows where we've been with the Arctic oscillation. Red lines up again with GFS on samples of forecasting the Arctic oscillation to go. So we've been generally in a positive phase of the AO, with some exceptions, since we will go back into. So the current position is just there. Positive AO conditions continuing. GFS ensembles indicating quite a lot of scatter as we go through the second half of November into the beginning of December. So the black line, which of course is the ensemble mean, is actually going slightly negative, neutral to weak negative, but that does mask a lot of scatter. So these ensemble members up here are keeping the AO positive. These ensemble members down here are sending the AO negative. Some ensemble members are sending the Arctic oscillation exceptionally negative. Hang on. There we go. That's a first, isn't it? Phone interruption in the winter. I'm getting worse. It's getting worse. Never mind. Okay, so where was I? I completely lost my train of thought. Yes, we're talking about the AO, wasn't we? So lots of scatter. Positive AOs on some members up here, negative on some members down there. Remember, the Arctic oscillation is an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state. So when the AO is positive, we've got low pressure over the pole. When the AO is negative, we've got high pressure blocking over pole. Blocking is the route to get cold out of pole and down into mid-latitude. So essentially, a negative AO is signature for colder air to move down from the Arctic and the North Pole into the mid-latitudes. Always the weather that's driving the index. And that looks very uncertain, very, very inconclusive, I have to say, as we're going into the end of November and the beginning of mid-tropical winter. At the same time, the NAO observed and forecast is looking like this. So again, the black line showing where we've been with the NAO, and with GFS samples forecast the NAO to go. So we've been in a long-term negative phase of the NAO, except in the first half of September, we had a heat wave, and we went positive. Current position of the NAO is just there, so that's around neutral, really. The GFS ensembles forecast the NAO will power up to be positive, quite unusually so for the past several months, but we are going to a positive NAO type setup through the third week of November by the look of it. But as we get to the last week of November into start December, again we revert back to neutral, and again that is masking a lot of scatter. So these ensemble members up here keeping the NAO positive, maybe quite strongly positive. These ensemble members here sending the NAO into negative territory, and some of them very strong negative, some of them really doing a significant drop. These ones down here going for a very strongly negative NAO. If the AO and the NAO, this is a big if, but if the AO and the NAO went into a strongly negative phase, that could well be a signal to turn things much colder at the end of November and into the beginning of December. It's only a possibility within some of those GFS ensemble members at the moment, but we need to keep a close eye on that. Right, moving on to the stratosphere. This is how stratosphere. Good bits, isn't it? Good, good. Phone interruptions accepted. Right, so this is how things look in terms of the stratosphere. Temperature at 10 HP over the Arctic of the North Pole versus average. So black line shows where we've been and where we currently are with temperature at 10 HPA in the stratosphere. Grey line is average. So we're a little bit colder than average with the temperature at 10 HPA. We haven't had a crash, but we are a little bit cold in terms of the stratospheric temperature. Somewhere around minus 76, I think we should be around minus 72, something like that at this point of the year. Go a little bit low down to 30 HPA, which is closer to the troposphere. There we see the black line a little bit further away from the grey line. So at 30 HPA, we are actually, again, hovering around minus 76, but you'd expect us to be more up here, really. So around minus 71, minus 72, something like that. Notice at 30 HPA, interestingly, though, it does get colder there on average with that grey line compared to 10 HPA, which is about as low as it's going to get, or will be, by the start of December. Anyway, both levels of the stratosphere were a little bit colder than average. Let's have a look at the GFS and see what that's forecasting to happen. So, of course, the blue colours here, these are the cold temperatures at 10 HPA over the Arctic and North part, around -76 over the pole itself at the moment, running through over the next few days. We do see a little bit of -80 appearing. That's more towards the European side of the Arctic North Pole. Over North Pole itself, we keep the temperature at 10 HPA in the stratosphere around -76, something like that. That gets us through 26th of November. Not much change from where we are right now, to be honest. Going out into extended range. So again, we see that we have got those -80 temperatures there appearing on our side, on the European side of the stratosphere. So becoming very cold through there. Over North Pole itself, probably again hovering around -72 to -76. Shouldn't be too far from average. Note there is quite a warming going on over Siberia, by the way, over here. That's not sudden stratospheric warming, but it is quite a significant warming for early on. I mean, that only gets us to the 4th of December, which is barely into the beginning of mid-tropical winter 2023-24. And already we do see signs there quite a significant warming happening over Siberia. That has no impact on the North Pole, on the polar vortex, but it is of interest and of note that a relatively, for this early in the season, significant warming is beginning to happen over towards the far eastern portion of Siberia there. Let's have a look at some forecast data then. This is from the ECMWF, the weekly temperaturonomy for 10 HPA for the next 6 weeks. So initially we're quite close to average next week, really. This is for week 1, 20th to, let's have a look, 27th of November. So we're quite close to average then with the temperature at 10 HPA next week. Week 2 sees a bit of a warming taking place. Yes, there is a warming beginning to gather pace around the North Atlantic into northern parts of Europe. That is not a sudden stratospheric warming, but a bit of a warming is taking place. But at the same time, we are cooling things down here over the North Pole itself, actually going ever so slightly cooler than average. Week 3, just generally looking a little bit warmer now over on the Siberian and Canadian side of the Arctic and the North Pole. Week 4, the 11th to the 18th of December, intensifies that a little bit more toward the Canadian side, this time of the Arctic and the Pole. Week 5, again, we see warming sitting over the Greenland and Canadian side of the North Pole. And then lastly, week 6, which is Christmas week, 25th December to the 1st of January, that sees the warming intensifying a little bit more, actually, over towards Greenland and extending into the North Pole as well. Now, these are anomalies to average, so we cannot say that that is an SSW. This is our scale just here, and the scale only goes up to 10 degrees. To get us SSW, we've got to go to around 50 degrees above average. So it's possible this could be going to 50 degrees above average, but I'd say that's up to that point, it's unlikely. But it is interesting that the anomalies there generally becoming more positive, going more and more above average as we go through December. And this is another way of looking at the polar vortex. This is the zonal wind forecast from the ECMWF. So the temperature is like showing you where the polar vortex is positioned, really, as its roots in the stratosphere. But another way of looking at the strength of the polar vortex is through the zonal wind. At the moment, the zonal wind is very, very strong, probably at record-breaking levels just here. Again, this is from the ECMWF, by the way. We can see from this thick blue line, which is a job to make out, because all the other lines are blue as well, but this thick blue line just here shows that the strength of the zonal wind is predicted to decrease via the ECMWF model as we go through December. Dates along in which periods along the bottom of the chart, of course. Anything that's under this zero line is quite significant, because those who go for reversal of zonal winds and have a sudden stratospheric warming, you know, technical SSW, you have got to get a reversal of zonal winds. So these on-top members here are predicting a genuine SSW. Not many of them doing that, but there are quite a lot that are dropping the zonal wind out through the middle to second half of December, and that's the reason that the blue line here is reducing, which is the ensemble mean. That's the reason that blue line here is reducing and actually becomes a little bit weaker than average by the time you get through to Christmas with most of the ensemble members. So we wait and see how that's going to resolve itself. We have got some long range forecast data as well. So the first bar to look at is ECM WF. The main thing with this, keep an eye on, is a black line, because that is like the trend for this time of the year and on into the winter. And then this blue line just here. So at the moment, again, we see that the zone of wind at 10 HPA in the North Pole, or over North Pole, is virtually at record-breaking levels. ECMWF is forecasting that the zone of wind will weaken, though, as we go through December into January. Again, any ensemble member is underneath... Oh, my line went wonky. Any ensemble member that is underneath that zero line... Let's try that again. Any ensemble member that is underneath this zero line will be going for a sudden stratospheric one. We'll be going for a genuine technical SSW reversal of zone of winds. So, I'm not a minority doing that, but we do see from the way that red line and also blue line goes under, the black line goes under average, that we are expecting quite a significant, or the ECMWF season model anyway, is expecting quite a significant weakening of zone of winds as we go through December into January. Another model we can look at, this all comes from a Copernicus suite, by the way, is Meteo France. Again, starting off here, above average with strength of zone of winds, but Meteo France is also predicting that the zone of wind will weaken and drop out and become weaker as the winter progresses. Again, anything under that zero line just there, there being ensemble members that are going for SSW and reversal of zone wind. Minority option to do that, but most of the ensemble blue members are weakening zone of winds as the winter progresses. This is DWD. Again, we can see at the moment DWD has been very strong, in record-breaking strong zone of wind, but predicts that the zone of wind will become significantly weaker through December and into January. Perhaps a few more ensemble blue members going for a technical reversal of zone of wind with DWD. And then this is the JMA, a little bit less conclusive, a little bit less confident with the JMA for weakening of zone of winds. And actually, JMA are keeping the zone of winds stronger than average, interestingly, as we go through December. It's not until we get into January that we see the zone of winds starting to become weaker. And these mates are quite marginal. So the JMA not anywhere near as sure about a weakening of zone of winds through December and into January. Wants to keep that polar vortex stronger, and the UK Met is in line with that as well, really. So again, starting off here with the very strong zone of wind, but we do see it going a little bit below average through December into January, but nowhere near as much so as we saw with the ECMWF and with Meteo France and with particularly DWD. So we've got three models that are going for a significant weakening of zone of winds through December to January. We've got two models, JMA and our own UK Met Office, that's much less confident about that prognosis and possibility. So as ever, it's going to be very interesting to see how things play out at the stratospheric level. Right, we just have one more little mini break, and then when we come back, we're going to go through Eurasian snow cover data and Eurasian snow cover analogues. So that's going to be very interesting. I'll see you in 2 seconds. Okay, we're back, and for the final time for this 12th and penultimate Winter 2023-24 update, we're going to go through, or for the final time, we are going to go through our third and final section. Let's put it that way. So, let's just pause, let's just turn the webcam off. I won't talk about anything else. Time is getting on, it's getting very late, so there's not going to be any more breaks. We're just going to go through to the end now, and as I said, we're going to look at Eurasian snow cover data, so let's do that. So this is how things look in terms of Scandinavian and Russian/Eurasian snow cover last week as of the 10th of November. That's how things looking then. This is the latest. So we have seen significant gains in snow cover across Russia, with that the snow cover to the northwest of Russia. Much of the Nordic regions are snow covered as well. As that gain on last week. Yes, we have seen a significant gain through the Nordic regions as well. We've even got some snow appearing across eastern parts of Russia, particularly into eastern regions of Poland there. but also further westwards a little bit as well. So significant gains in snow cover over the past week. Let's see how we're doing then compared to recent years. So that is how we look compared to last year. So we have less snow this year for Russia and compared to last year, but we have more for Scandinavia and the Nordic regions. That is 2021. Probably quite similar in terms of Russian snow cover, but the areas covered are a little bit different. So of Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover more this year compared to 2021. That's 2020, so I think we've got more snow cover definitely across Scandinavian and Nordic regions, probably into Russia as well this year. That is 2019, what to make of that one. So again, I think for Russian snow cover, we're probably quite close, but the areas covered are a little bit different. For European, and like Nordic snow cover more this year. That is 2018, what to make of that one. I think we are up on 2018, particularly for Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover. That is 2017. I think we're very close now. That could be one of the years that we're closest to, actually, for both Russian and also for Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover. Probably a little bit more this year, though, compared to 2017 for Nordic snow cover. That's 2016. We are behind 2016 for Russian snow cover, and probably for Scandinavian Nordic snow cover as well. That is 2015. We're behind 2015 for Russian snow cover, but ahead of Scandinavian Nordic snow cover. That is 2014, ahead of 2014 for Russian snow cover and also Scandinavian Nordic snow cover. That is 2013, so we're ahead of that one as well for Russian and also Scandinavian Nordic snow cover. That is 2012, probably quite close to that one for Russian snow cover, but way ahead for Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover. That is 2011. We might be a little bit behind 2011 for Russian snow cover, but again, we are ahead this year for Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover. That's 2010, so we're ahead, or maybe quite close, but I think a little bit ahead of 2010 for Russian snow cover. For Scandinavian snow cover, very close actually, very close, probably a little bit behind. That's 2009, so we're probably a little bit behind 2009 for Russian snow cover, and very close for Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover. That's 2008. We're ahead of 2008 in all areas. That is 2007, which we are behind for Russian and European snow cover, but probably a little bit ahead actually for Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover. That is 2006. So that year, we are behind that year for Russian snow cover and for Scandinavian Nordic snow cover, probably a little bit ahead. That's 2005. Again, we're ahead of that year in all areas. That's 2004, which we are also ahead of in all areas. That is 2003. And for that year, we're probably quite closely matched. Russian snow cover, areas cover a little bit different. Ahead again for Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover. That's 2002. We're behind 2002 for Russian snow cover. Probably quite close for Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover. That's 2001. Behind that year for Russian snow cover, but ahead for Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover. That is 2000. Again, with that year, we are ahead for Russian snow cover and for Scandinavian Nordic snow cover. We're ahead in all areas. That is 2000. It's 1999, I should say. So with that year, we are behind that year for Russian snow cover, but way ahead Scandinavian Nordic snow cover. And that is 1998. Again, we're behind that year for Russian and European snow cover, but ahead for Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover. So it's the same snow that it's been for several months. We're probably right in the pack, probably right in the middle for Russian snow cover, but we're doing really well, actually, compared to most years for Scandinavian snow cover. Let's go even further back than that. We won't do a comparison now, but just keep that in mind and kind of flip it over onto its head, or stand on your head, if you like. Okay, so this is 1997. So we're probably a bit behind 1997. No, that's 1994. What's going on there? So let's go back to 97. There you go, that's better. Right, so we're probably a little bit behind 1997 for Russian European snow cover, and probably a little bit behind Scandinavian snow cover as well. That's 1996. We're ahead of 1996 for Russian snow cover, probably quite close to Scandinavian Nordic snow cover. That's 1995. We are behind 95 for Russian and Scandinavian Nordic snow cover. That's 1994. So we're behind 94 for Russian snow cover, but ahead for Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover. That's 993. We're ahead of that year for Nordic snow cover, but behind for Russian European snow cover. That is 1992. Probably behind that year in all areas. That is 1991. Again, behind that year for Russian snow cover, probably a little bit ahead both Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover. We're ahead of 1990 for Nordic snow cover, but for Russian snow cover, probably quite closely matched. 1989, we're behind that for Russian and European snow cover, but again, maybe a little bit ahead for Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover. 1988, we're ahead of that, definitely, for Nordic snow cover, but we are behind it for Russian snow cover. 1987, we're behind that year for Russian snow cover, but probably a little bit ahead, or maybe quite closely matched, for Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover. 1986, we're ahead of that year for Scandinavian Nordic snow cover. Again, probably a bit behind for Russian snow cover. 1985, we're behind that year for Russian snow cover, and in terms of Scandinavian Nordic snow cover, probably a little bit ahead. 1984, probably quite closely matched to that year for Russian snow cover, but well ahead for Nordic snow cover. 1983, behind that year for Russian snow cover, and in terms of Scandinavian Nordic snow cover, probably a little bit ahead. 1982, I think we're ahead of that year in all areas. 1981, we are probably behind that year for Russian and also for Nordic snow cover now at this point. 1980, we are behind Russian snow cover, probably ahead though, or we are ahead for Nordic snow cover. 1979, we are behind that year. No, we're ahead of that year, sorry, for both Russian and Nordic snow cover. 1978, pretty quite close to Russian snow cover, ahead for Nordic snow cover. 1977, we are behind that year for Russian snow cover, but for Nordic snow cover, we're ahead of that year as well. 1976, that was 77 by the way. 1976, we look like that. So again, for that year, we see that we are ahead for Nordic snow cover, probably closely matched, a little bit behind maybe the Russian snow cover. 1975, again with that year, we're ahead of that year for Nordic snow cover, probably quite close for Russian snow cover. 1974, very close for Russian snow cover, perhaps a little bit ahead though for Nordic snow cover. 1973, we are ahead of that year for Nordic snow cover, but behind it for Russian snow cover. 1972, probably behind that year in all areas. 1971, probably behind that year in all areas too, and 1970. 1969, probably quite close for Scandinavian Nordic snow cover, and for Russian snow cover as well. That could be one of the years we're closer to at the moment. 1968, we're behind that year in all areas, I think, and 1967, we're ahead of that year for Nordic snow cover, but behind it for Russian snow cover. Lastly, 1966, we're ahead of that year for Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover, probably quite close or maybe a little bit behind for Russian snow cover. So again, we're doing great for Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover. We're not doing quite as well for Russian snow cover. It's been the story of the updates so far. Okay, so now we're just going to bring you some reanalysis, and then we are done. Goodness gracious, what an epic update again this week. So we have found the years that were closest to this year in terms of Eurasian snow cover extent during October. That's the key month, of course, for this methodology. So these are them. These are the years and the winters, or these are the years that were closest to this year for Eurasian snow cover in October, and the winters that followed them. Starting off with 1973. So the winter of 1973-1974 was mild and wet. Deep low pressure in Atlantic. Thanks to Shrine for sorting these out for us. Then we got 1978. That was close to this year in October. And that year had, of course, in the winter, it's winter disk date, so that year had blocking around Greenland. Low pressure was underneath it, winds in from the east. Very cold winter. Our last severely cold sub-zero CT January was in was January 1979, and we do see that showing up in the analogues package. Wow, wow, wow. We've got 1982. October 1982 was similar for snow cover extent. Winter of 82-83 was mild to start off with, but did get colder by the end of the winter, with winds coming in from the west generally, but those winds reverted easterly by February of 1983. We've got 93-94, which is generally a mild Atlantic-driven 1990s winter, but does have some cold snaps, particularly around Christmas of 1993, and then again when we get into February of 94. We've got 1996-1997 with an analog, but doesn't tell us a great deal about the winter, really. It has a cold start. It's a front-loaded winter, very cold around Christmas and New Year of 96-97, but turns very mild and wet when we get into February. 2000-2001 is back. How interesting. With above average heights again to the north, below average heights to the south, winds in from the east yet again for the northern half of the country. Anyway, it's marginal down in the south. Some cold snaps, though. Coldest weather is for Scotland. 2003-04 looks like it should be a cold winter. It isn't particularly, but it does have some cold snaps, especially in January of 2000, late January 2004, and then particularly into the second half of February of 2004. We've got 04-05, again, this is a backloaded winter, high pressure in the Atlantic, overall, winds coming in from the northwest, but the main cold weather with that is the second half of February into the first half of March. It does have a white Christmas from the north in 2004. We've got 2010-2011, so yes, October 2010 was actually quite similar for snow cover extent compared to October 2023. Bristol with blocking around Greenland, low pressure underneath it, winds again in from an east or a northeast direction. December to remember, our coldest December since 1890 for the CET. Of course, it was offset a little bit by a very mild February. 2018-2019, map 1 shows up again as well with high pressure back across western parts of Europe. That's a relatively dry and quiet winter. 2020-2021 is the teaser winter, with low pressure to the south, high pressure blocking to the north. Is so close to a very cold winter. Actually, Scotland does get a very cold winter. Further south, it's a little bit on off, but there is some cold weather at times showing up in that winter. And then finally got 2021-2022. That's back again as well, which is a relatively mild winter, winds in from off the Atlantic. Okay, let's put all that together. This is how all Decembers combined are looking, with Octobers that have a similar snow cover extent in the month of October to October 2023. Yes, we do see a blocking signal in the Atlantic up towards Greenland. Low pressure to our south and east, winds coming in from an east or a northeasterly direction in most Decembers. A cold signal, therefore, for those Decembers. All Januaries combined, again, with a mid-Atlantic ridge heading up towards Greenland. Low pressure to our east, winds in from the north, so potentially a cold signal for the Januaries too. All Februaries combined, not as clear cut, though low pressure closer to us in the Atlantic and more of an Atlantic influence, despite the fact there is still some blocking with these Februaries. But I think it probably this suggesting like a front-loaded winter, with the coldest weather happening in the earlier part of the winter and then things getting milder later. Overall, though, this is how all winters combined are looking, following October's with a similar Eurasian snow cover extent to October 2023, and it is a signal for a cold winter. It's particularly down to December, but also to some degree in January, with blocking around Greenland and low pressure underneath it into Europe. That would bring the wind in from the east. Remember, that's particularly the case for December, less so for January, and even less so for February. And we're done. What an epic update this has been. We have gone over last week. Goodness gracious, we have gone over the 1 hour mark. We're at 1 hour, 1 minute. I don't know, winter updates are getting even longer. And as I say, we're nearly at the end of them now, but of course we saved like the key analogues for the business end of the update. So that's the reason that they get longer, I suppose, later on. But wow. What an update. Goodness gracious me. If you enjoyed this 12th and penultimate Winter 2023-24 update from GavsWeatherVids, please do you like, share, subscribe, tell your friends and family about the unique content that we are producing here at GavsWeatherVids. I mean, thank you so very much, everybody, for doing that for us. Right, okay, thank you, Shona Richard. Thank you, Shona Schreier, for all the help on this 12th Winter update. Thank you, Shona, hashtag Team Gav. Amazing, incredible. We're going to be live at 6 p.m. So if you've got any questions about this winter update, please fire away on the live stream, and I'm doing my best to answer those questions. We will be live streaming long range from CFSB2 and Beijing Climate Center, as well as doing 1040 day as well. And don't forget the 7th installment of Christmas Countdown coming up for you straight after live stream at 7 p.m. For the 12th, I'll just say next week, you'll find out how this 12th update has affected the swingometer, by the way. So that'll be the first thing you see at the beginning of next week's 13th and final winter update. Okay, so at how long has it been? At 1 hour, nearly 1 hour, 3 minutes. That is it for the 12th winter update. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week for the last update. Bye for now.